What's up, Benfica Nation? Welcome to episode 86 here on our new season of Mr. Benfica. I am your host, the Mr. Mike Agustinu. Hello to everybody listening to the podcast, and a big hello to everybody watching on YouTube as I bring the video now into the feed here on YouTube. And there I am. How is everybody doing? I want to welcome everybody, like I said, to this brand new season of Mr. Benfica. And I hope everybody listening to the podcast enjoyed the theme song. Again, that is the work of the musical group Agendaz. Okay, they created that music. They put the audio or the commentary over their original music. Okay, you can check them out to the link in the show notes. It's all of their social media stuff is there in the show notes. I provided links, Agendaz. Check them out. Mad talented. Pete and Jeff, good guys. Jeff's a big Benfica fan. Please support them. And how does everyone feel now after the result from last Friday afternoon, as it was Benfica traveling up north to Vila Nova de Famalicao and coming away with a 5-1 victory? I don't want to get too high on it, okay? This was not the same Famalicao we saw last season. Let's be perfectly honest. And I think it's a step in the right direction, obviously, anytime you get a 5-1 victory. But I also want to slow down the train just a little bit and take this one match at a time. I didn't get a chance really last episode to finish up my thoughts on the PAOK match. Again, I was sharing the episode with Leo Kukakis from DGens United, who follows Greek football and provided a lot of good perspective and insight to the PAOK side of the duel. But I thought that some of the reaction from Benfica Nation was a little bit unrealistic. Okay, that's not the right word. Okay, it's Benfica should beat PAOK. That goes without saying. That's that shouldn't need to be stated. However, this was not the result. Let's be careful here. I see a lot of people already pointing the finger at Jorge Jesus and already pointing the finger at the new signings. The only reason we're in that match, everybody, remember, is because of last season. Remember why we played that match. We should have been champions last year. Anyone who disagrees with that is making excuses, in my opinion, because when you have a 7-point lead in January, you should hold on to win the league. But in the event that you don't, okay, we blew the 7-point lead, but even after then, our rivals slipped up 3-4 times, gave us plenty of opportunities to take the title back. We did not capitalize. So the players that were in that match, a lot of them were responsible for that match even having to be played. I'm talking about Pizzi. I'm talking about Andre Almeida. To a lesser extent, in my opinion, Rafa. Okay, even Ruben Dias. Maybe he wasn't at fault completely, but he was there. He was playing. Okay, Julian Weigel was playing in those matches where it slipped away. Okay, I was concerned about that exact thing happening when we came in second. And when UEFA announced that this round was going to be played in a one-match playoff, okay, I was concerned that exactly what did happen was what was going to happen. We set ourselves up for it. I think it was obvious when they signed Zivkovic. Who didn't think he was going to score? It always happens that way. Talisca, Renato Sanchez, let's go down the list. Axel Witsel. Our former players, Luca Jovic, our former players score against us in Europe when we see them. When we see them, they score against us. There's no question about that, okay? So I think we should have been, ready for that. I came down a little hard on some of the players, Tarap, on Grimaldo. And I understand Grimaldo is not fit. My issue is not his fitness. I just think tactically in matches, and of course he went and played well, in this match we're going to talk about today, as did Tarapt, okay? So maybe they listened to the show. Who knows? I highly doubt it, but They did play better. But I think what happened is the match called for something different than that. And Grimaldo's lack of ability to defend really irritates me. I don't care how good you are going forward. If you're Benfica, if you're not Real Madrid, if you're not Manchester City, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and you're playing in the back, you're going to have to defend at some point. Those teams, they may never have to defend because they have the ball all the time. Understood. But if you're Benfica, I don't care who you're playing. At some point, you're going to have to defend. Okay? We saw a team last year struggle against Marítimo, struggle against Santa Clara, against Vitória Setúbal, okay, against Famalicao last season. And we think that we're going to go in to Greece and play PAOK, who are a much better team than anybody gave them credit for. Okay, they were a much better team than anyone gave them credit for. They executed a perfectly mastered, engineered plan to beating us. Abel had an advantage. He knew us. Nobody in Benfica knew anything about PAOK. Didn't have much time to study up either. The draw was fairly recent. We didn't know who we were going to play. They beat Besiktas, and that's who we got. For whatever reason, UEFA decides that the seeded team doesn't have a right to play the match at home. I don't understand that policy because you have the seeded pot, cabeça série, as we say in Portuguese, and you have the unseeded pot. One plays the other. I don't understand why, due to the higher seeding, when there's only one match, why the higher seed wouldn't have the advantage of playing at home. I feel they would have earned that. However, that's not the way UEFA drew it up. So we went to play on a hot night in Greece, okay, against a team that was a little further along in their preparation than we were, a team that had studied us better than we'd studied them, let's be honest. And then they took advantage of Benfica's inefficiencies. That's, at the end of the day, what happened. It wasn't the end of the world, was what I was trying to say. It was the first of maybe as many as 60 matches this season. And every match is its own chapter in this story that will be Benfica 2020-2021. And obviously, it's not how you start. A year ago, a rival of ours, we laughed at them when they were knocked out of the Champions League, okay, to an unknown Russian side. We laughed. At the end of the season, who was laughing? It wasn't us. So there's plenty still to play. Yes, I understand the sentiment that the Liga is not enough. I understand that. I think from a footballing perspective, not a business perspective, the Europa League is a better opportunity for Benfica at this time in this project. In fact, part of me thinks JJ believes that too, and I think JJ, now that I had time to think about it, may have put that lineup in there. Not worried if we didn't go into the Champions League this year. I think he may have assessed what he had and said, we're not ready yet. Yes, that's going to piss off fans, and they will never admit to that. The staff or the board will never admit to that, but I think it's a possibility that subconsciously, at least, the thought was this isn't a Champions League team, and we're not. Let's be honest, we're not. Our club history and our badge and our reputation, which hasn't been as good, but our legacy says we belong in the Champions League. Our product on the pitch right now, at chapter 2 now of 60, if that's what we play this year, not quite ready for that right this second. There's still things that need to be ironed out. There's still things that need to be changed. There's still missing pieces out there in the market that we got to go get and bring in. Okay. So that's my final thoughts on that. We're going to move forward because we're here to talk about Liga NOS. Yes, they still call it Liga NOS. I thought that NOS was going to get out of that naming contract, but it's still Liga NOS for this season. We're in round 1, Benfica visiting Famalicao. We're going to take a quick break here. Those of you listening on the podcast are going to hear us pay a quick bill, and then you're going to get your usual Reconquista, and then we'll be back. If you're watching on YouTube, just sit tight for about 10 seconds or so, and we will be right back here on Mr. Benfica. I am the Mr. Mike Agustino. You can follow me on Twitter at Benfica Mister, on Instagram at Mr. Benfica, on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Mr. Benfica. You can check out MrBenfica.com, and also on the YouTube channel. If you're watching YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. The episodes are all going here this season. All right, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. I'll have some throughout the season. I'll probably have some YouTube exclusive content and some podcast exclusive content to keep it fresh and to keep the listeners of both platforms, with some exclusive stuff. All right, we'll be right back, and we'll be talking about Benfica versus Famalicao, or Benfica at Famalicao to be more exact, here on Mr. Benfica, episode 86 on the PTB Media Network. And welcome back to Mr. Benfica, episode 86, as we get ready to go into Benfica versus Famalicao, I should say. Famalicao Benfica, to be correct. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a look now at these starting lineups, as I am going to switch the screen for those of you watching on watching on YouTube, that is. I'm going to switch it up here. And please excuse my ineptness with the YouTube. I know those of you that watched the last episode, I was smart enough not to hit record while broadcasting live on YouTube, and that caused me to have to re-record the whole episode. And by re-record, I meant play it and then and then what is this? Oh, I am a disaster on YouTube. Okay, so what happened was I had to play the episode on YouTube, and then I had to record it with the microphone up to the computer to try to get to the Mr. Benfica page. All right, let's do this for one moment here. As you see, Tony Martinez there. Nearly, as you can see, I'm incredibly skilled at this. Let's go right into the goal point to see the starting lineups then. All right, as I have that up. And here they are. All right, so Famalicao, the home side, managed by João Pedro Souza. Start with our old friend Zlobin in goal. And then this is what I hate about goal point. They don't put the players full. We have George P there at right back. I'll get to his full name, I know, when I go through the report. Richelli is the center back, along with Babic and Verdonk on the left. You have Valenzuela, Bruno Jordão, Gustavo Assunção, Guga, and Lameiras in a five-man midfield with Tony Martinez, the soon-to-be Porto Dragão. Yes, the soon-to-be Tripeiro, with an excellent send-off from Famalicao here. That is Famalicao's 11. Remember, Portugal still utilizing 5 substitutions this season. Benfica starts with Vlaco Dimos in goal, Andre Almeida on the right. Ruben Dias and Vertonghen are the center backs, and Grimaldo is the left back. In midfield, Rafa gets the start on the right, a change. He starts over Pizzi. Tarap partners with Gabriel in a little bit of a surprising tandem in midfield. You guys know how I feel about that tandem. Not necessarily them individually, but as a pair, I do not like them. They were not exploited, though, in this match. This match was fine for them. I don't know if this was Benfica's scouting department or Jorge Jesus's staff and his analysis department knowing better and knowing that a true holding mid is probably not necessary in this match. I don't know, or if he just there was rumors of a bust up with Weigl in training over the week, so I don't know if that had to do with Weigl being dropped. Or if it's just to keep the squad fresh and to rotate a little bit early in the season and to get different looks. Either way, this tandem worked in this match, okay? It's not my favorite tandem by any means, but it worked in this match. I will acknowledge that. On the left, we had Everton Cebolinha, who continues his very good start to the season and his very good start to his time here with Benfica. Up front, a surprising selection for the pair of strikers, as Seferovic is dropped in addition to Pedrinho, who had played in the previous match. And we get Darwin Nunez and Luca Waldschmidt as the starting strikers, and that is a good pair. I was very, very excited to see Luca Waldschmidt in this match. Okay, I was very excited to see Luca Waldschmidt. Didn't get to see a lot of him in the preseason, as JJ would say later in the post game presser. He was with the national team on holiday, as he I think he threw a little shot at Joachim Low for not even playing Luca Waldschmidt, and in a sense saying he wasted his time going to the national team. I'm going to be looking to my right, everybody, as I pull up the notes from the match. Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing me turn to the right. It's because I'm looking at the notes here. And we're going to get started. As Benfica start with the kickoff. And before you're even in the first minute, within seconds, Rafa is fouled for the first sub of the match. Andre Almeida will return the favor in the second minute, taking down Tony Martinez. Calvin Verdonk would foul Rafa 2 minutes later after a little bit of fouling. Benfica starts on the right foot again. They start on the front foot. They start out with some good pace, some high press. And what this lineup looked like to me was Jorge Jesus instilled some speed. He has less speed in the center of the park, okay? Gabriel, Tarabt, Vertonghen, Ruben Dias, less speed. Okay, everybody else on the pitch was fast in this match. He went with speed. He went two fast attackers, Luca Waldschmidt and Darwin Nunez, and I think it paid off. I think he played the high press. They were able to sustain it a little bit better. Of course, the quality of opponent dropped. If you think that this Famalicao is better than PAOK, then you need to rewatch these two matches, because perhaps player for player, Famalicao is a better team than PAOK, or they have better individuals, but the team dynamic is still in the very, very early building phase. So they're not. This is a horrible draw for Famalicao to start the season with Benfica before they've had any chance to really build any chemistry. Remember, the majority of their team is off. Both Gonçalves are gone. One is with us, the other is with Sporting. Tony Martinez is on his way out. Why, sometimes when players are with 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it hurts to play them as much as you want to and as tempted as you are. Their head is somewhere else, and I think Tony Martinez's head was somewhere else. João Pedro Sousa in the post-game presser didn't agree with that. He said that he had a good game. He was happy with Tony Martinez, and that he counts on him for next weekend. We'll see. But we move forward, and it doesn't take long. It is the 18th minute, and it is Luca Waldschmidt on his Portuguese league debut, the young German international who we acquired this offseason from Freiburg, gets a goal, a left-footed shot from the center of the box, in the center of the goal, beats Zlobin, and Benfica are ahead early, and this relieved a lot of pressure. This was a crucial goal, in my opinion. This was a game changer, because what happened against PAOK was this goal never came. This early goal to you get out, okay, and you get the tempo going, and you're on the front foot, and you're attacking, and you're creating chances. You get the opponent beginning to doubt. But the longer you go without scoring, the more that opponent starts to believe, the more they start to gradually work the way out of their back end, the more your energy reserves start to lower. You can't accelerate at 100% for 90 minutes. That's an impossibility. So slowly you start to decrease in your intensity, and the opponent starts to gain confidence, and that's what happened. Benfica didn't score against PAOK, and eventually they were scored on. Here they found the goal. That changes everything. So Benfica get the lead, and then to make it even better, it's only 2 minutes later, after Carlos Valenzuela for Famalicao has a left-footed shot from outside the box, blocked, counterattack, finds its way all the way right to, my favorite player, Andre Almeida, but I'll give him credit. Good ball here. He a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, and he puts a ball across the face of the area, and Everton is coming in from the left. He meets the ball perfectly with his right foot, and his right-footed shot from just outside the box slotted perfectly into the right corner. And it is 2-0 to Benfica, 20 minutes in. And at this point, worry and doubt, I think, starts to decrease. and you start to feel pretty comfortable with a Jorge Jesus-led Benfica having a 2-goal lead. Okay, we saw 2-goal leads evaporate a year ago, but I think the average fan under Jorge Jesus has a little more comfort in a 2-goal lead. Okay, and you can clearly see the differences, even if the result, for example, that first result was not very good, was not what we needed. You can see the examples in the play in this very early stage of building this team, rebuilding this team, if you will, with some new players and integrating them with the returning players. You can see that steps have been taken. I like the intensity they play with. I like that they have reduced the number of ridiculously wound in crosses from all angles. I think they're doing better to take players on, to get into the final third, to get behind the back line. They're looking for better opportunities. We're getting shots from outside the area, which pulls the retreating defense out a little bit and creates space in behind for our forwards to get in and try to get some of those closer range goals. So I think the team is doing much more as a whole, especially in the attacking sense. Early this season. And here, Everton opens his Portuguese league scoring account here in the 20th minute, assisted by Andre Almeida. And it is a big goal for Everton. Cebolinha, a player I'm super high on. I loved watching him play in the Brasileirão and in the Copa Libertadores last year. And I knew right away this was a guy that was going to fit in perfectly in Benfica, because I think he's a guy for a high. I actually believe he's a guy that belongs at a higher level than our club. Hopefully we can keep him for a couple seasons and then maximize that investment. And hopefully we can win a whole bunch of trophies with him, because he's an absolutely phenomenal player. There's no question why he is a first choice player in the Brazilian national team. 22nd minute, and Darwin Nunez gets his chance. A right-footed shot from the right side of the box. Close, but he misses to the right. He was set up on a through ball from Adel Taarabt. And yes, I was hard on Taarabt in the last episode. I won't be that hard on him today. Listen, Taarabt has his qualities. My concerns with Taarabt are 1, disciplinary, 2, defensive, okay, which against better teams, that comes into play. I'm thinking precisely against Futebol Clube do Porto, a team that is going to try to antagonize, is going to try to irritate, that is going to try to do everything under their power to get you to lose your discipline and to react and to get caught reacting. They're also going to exploit the middle of the field. They have big, strong guys. Adel Taarabt, if he has to defend, I don't know anybody that can tell me he reads the game well. Okay, if he has to defend, he doesn't know where to be. Yes, he works hard. He is a hard worker because he does not know where to be. So he's constantly chasing at full speed, and then he mistimes tackles. That's where my issue with Adel Taarabt is. That and his stat line. Let's be honest. If you're going to play, if you want to call yourself a number 8 or a false 9, a 10, the stat line's got to be better. But I'm done beating up on the guy. He had a good game in this match. I think he was great in support all match. He found his way into the spaces behind the players with the ball, and he provided that additional support. And he had a lot of good switches of the ball as well. And his long pass is good. We know that. He is able to pick out players well. They don't always connect, but the vision is good in that sense. Okay, his vision offensively, finding teammates, is very good. Okay, so I think he had a better game. And against the Famalicao, his weaknesses are not really going to come out. So that's the mister's decision to go with this midfield. It is what it is. And it worked. So who am I to sit here and criticize that? As we move to the 30th minute, we have a corner conceded. So it's by Famalicao. Another corner for Benfica. Everton takes it. It's headed away. And Ruben Lameiras would try a through ball, but on the counter, Bruno Jordão is caught offside. Move ahead here as we go to the 40th minute, and it is the aforementioned Adel Taarabt. Good play from him here. Gets the ball, finds the space to exploit on the dribble, ends up forcing a foul on the edge of the area, the right edge of the area. A beautiful spot for a left-footed free kick. Yes, Grimaldo lines up for it. I'll be the first to admit, I didn't want Grimaldo taking this free kick. I am tired of seeing Grimaldo and Pizzi take free kicks. Now, 2 games in a row under Jorge Jesus, Pizzi hits a post and Grimaldo does what he does here. But I was hoping to see Luca Waldschmidt take this free kick because I know he can hit the ball from angles and I know he can take set pieces. But nothing to complain about here. Grimaldo steps up, left-footed, in-swinging pass to the short post, near post, beats Zlobin. Zlobin has no chance. Okay, don't any Portistas come out here on Twitter or on Facebook, on wherever, trying to tell me Zlobin is opening his legs for Benfica already. Okay, that's ridiculous. Look at the way your team won before you talk about the way ours won. This is a beautiful goal from Alex Grimaldo. Beats Zlobin 3-0 to Benfica. Nice work from Adel Taarabt, like I said, to generate the free kick and to get what I used to consider an assist when I was coaching. I know it's not an assist in the stat line, but in my personal memory bank, I always marked these down. Players that get taken down for penalties, players that get taken down for free kicks. In here, I'd call them assists. So let's notch one up for Adel Taarabt right there, okay? If I'm going to be critical of him, I'm also going to be fair. When he does something well, he gets the credit. So a Mr. Benfica assist, if you will, in quotations, for Adel Taarabt. And that will take us to halftime before Jorge Pereira is the name of the Jorge P in the starting lineup. Jorge Pereira shown the yellow card for a bad foul on Everton, Cebolinha. And the referee blows for halftime. So on the podcast, we're going to take a quick break here for halftime. And I'm going to get a quick swig of this. If you are watching on YouTube, just sit tight again about 5 to 10 seconds. And we will resume with the second half here on Mr. Benfica on the PTB Media Network. And welcome back to Mr. Benfica. Substitutions here at halftime. For Famalicao, they will make one. Patrick comes on, replacing Jorge Pereira in the 45th minute. It's Patrick Willian, the, I believe, English player. Yes, he's Brazilian, excuse me. The British, let me try that again. The Brazilian right back replaces Jorge Pereira, and we get started here. Jorge Jesus does not make a substitution at halftime, which is somewhat surprising considering that you get 5. It's almost an automatic at halftime. It became that in the run last season because of the fact that you get 5 over 3 stoppages, and this does not count as a stoppage. So Jorge Pedro Sousa would also, or João Pedro Sousa, excuse me, would also bring on Abdul Wahab Ibrahim, in place of Calvin Verdonk. And it would be Famalicao kicking off, and they would go forward right away, and they would get a corner conceded by Andre Almeida right in the first moments. Ensuing corner, cleared away for another corner conceded by Rafa. 46th minute, it's Patrick Willian with a missed attempt. Right-footed shot from the center of the box. It's close, but he misses just to the left. He was set up on a cross from Carlos Valenzuela. Darwin Nunez helping on defense in the 47th minute. He gets back, gets possession of the ball, and is fouled by Patrick Willian. Move forward, and it's early. It's the 51st minute now, and it is a nice bit of skill and a nice bit of patience inside the penalty area. Normally, we like to see shots in these situations, but Famalicao actually did well to block all the shooting routes in this one. They did very well to block any potential shot. Everton, with great patience, he finds Rafa back to Everton. Everton can't find the shot. He beats a guy, creates a little bit of space, slots it again to the right where Rafa is waiting, and finally Rafa gets an inch of space and he slots it into the far post. And Rafa makes it 4-0 to Benfica. And this is how we want to start a season. This is how we want to start a championship. We're so used to Benfica coming out slow. All right. Maybe they just got that slow start out of the way in Greece on Tuesday. Yes, it cost us whatever in X million of euros in prize money. But again, from a footballing sense, maybe we're past that now, and maybe we got a little bit more momentum. Because some people don't believe in momentum. But at least we have some confidence going forward. You can't deny that. Once you successfully start putting the ball in the goal, you start to get a little bit of a better feel for the ball. You get a better feel and a better sense around goal of where the goal is, where the goalkeeper is. And it's a nightmare night for Zlobin in his debut for Famalicao, facing us of all teams. As we are lighting him up, it is 4-0. And we move to the 59th minute and we get a substitution. Pizzi replaces Rafa, and João Pedro Sousa will counter that with two more substitutions. So substitution number 3 and 4 for Famalicao. Ruben Del Campo replaces Tony Martinez, and Mateus Clement replaces Bruno Jordão. Benfica in complete control here. And in the 65th minute, once again, it is the German international on his debut, Gianluca Waldschmidt. Once again, left-footed shot from very close range this time, high center of the goal. He gets an assist from Darwin Nunez. Great to see Darwin get on the score sheet with an assist, get on the stat sheet, I should say. A lot of pressure on this young kid, Darwin Nunez. A lot less pressure on Luca Waldschmidt, but Luca Waldschmidt, much more the polished player, I think, at the same young age, coming where he came from and the role he had at Freiburg. He seems to be well-groomed and ready to take on this role at Benfica. And again, I couldn't have been happier with Luca Waldschmidt in this match and what I saw. I was excited about this player, a very close to a true number 10, a second striker, a different body, a different game in a sense from João Felix, but a similar idea in the sense of how the rest of the team can play. So if for a season last year we complained that Bruno Lage continued to try to play the system by slotting different people in the João Felix role, we didn't have João Felix. I think we have a guy to play that role. If that's what JJ wants to do this season, he's got a guy to play that role. And I like this attack. I like this strike pairing. Even if it leaves Vinny and Seferovic on the bench, that just strengthens our bench as well when we need something. Carlos Vinicius, if he sticks around, if he's not sold, a lot of people suspect he's going to be sold, especially with the Champions League money disappearing. There's a lot of people who expect him to be sold now to make up the difference. But if he sticks, we know how well he can do as a substitute. He comes off the bench and scores. A lot of his goals last year came off the bench, not in the starting 11. So we still have him for that tool as well. We still got Chiquinho. We got Diogo Gonçalves. We've got Pedrinho. We got so much talent on the bench that didn't even get into this match, okay? It's just key spots in this team are still missing a piece, I think. A number 8 is missing, a true 8 with the lung to do that, the lungs, the pulmon, the ability to get up and down the pitch and to transition the team from attack to defense. We don't have that player yet, okay? I don't know if that player's out there either. We may have to get on without having that player, but that's a player we're missing. And I think an additional central defender for the right side is what we're missing, okay? I would like to see a more defensive-minded outside back get into the team. It's probably not going to happen. But I think Vertonghen can also do that if necessary. And, of course, you still got Franco Cervi, who I think there are games where he needs to be in the 11. We can't take this lineup into the Dragão, for example. They're gonna destroy our outside corridors. okay, with their speed, especially if they don't lose anybody from who they have right now. They will absolutely tear a highway on our flanks. So we need players like that still that can provide stops, that can provide coverage, protection to our back line. We can't just think that we're going to go out and score 5 goals every match, all right? But it is Luca Waldschmidt making it 5-0 to Benfica. A minute later, though, Famalicao will pull one back. Our former youth product, Guga, once again, he scored on us last year. He scores on us this year. Right-footed shot from the center of the box, right bottom corner, assisted by Ruben Lameiras. And it is 5-1, 70th minute. Gabriel goes in the referee's book for a yellow card. Same thing as I criticize Adulterapta. I have to be fair and criticize my man Gabriel, although it's been a lukewarm. My feelings for Gabriel have seriously cooled off. Again, a little bit of indiscipline or lack of discipline. I don't like to see that. It worries me. Another reason I don't like the Tarapt and Gabriel tandem. You need a strong, sure, disciplined man in the middle there who's not going to get himself booked needlessly and not going to get himself sent off. This game didn't exploit it, okay? This team did not have the ability to make us pay for this. And Jorge Jesus probably knew that this team was not going to be able to do that. That's why he set these two out there. Gave the team a different look, gave himself a different look. He can see for himself this lineup, and I think they had a good game. But bookings like this worry me. Just like surrendering goals after we're up 5-0, one of my pet peeves. I don't like to see that. I want to see our team keep clean sheets. I want when teams come to play us to feel like it's virtually impossible to get a goal against us. I don't want a team to come in playing us, say, yeah, they scored 5 goals, but they're not going to score like that every game. But you know what? They concede every game. We can get a goal. You don't want a smaller team coming in with that belief. 71st minute, and it is Carlos Valenzuela with a foul on Luca Waldschmidt, which prompts a substitution. And Jorge Jesus sends on Carlos Vinicius in the 71st minute, replacing Darwin Nunez. He also sends on Nuno Tavares to replace Alex Grimaldo. Grimaldo, good performance. He gets a good rating when we look at the goal point in a few moments. Those of you watching on YouTube saw the goal point when I was reading the starting lineup. You may have seen the ratings. Good rating for Grimaldo. Much better game for him. Of course, he didn't have to do the things that are his weakness, and he's always going to do well when he's allowed to go forward all the time. But valuable minutes, I think, for Nuno Tavares, and I think that Jorge Jesus sees something in Nuno Tavares. I think he sees such a raw green athlete that he can really mold and shape into the left back in his image, in what he wants out of a left back. And if he could make a two-way left back out of this guy, man, the sky could be the limit. A lot of people don't like him. They don't like his crosses. But you know what? That's all going to improve. He has so few appearances in senior football. The man played, I should say the kid, he got demoted all the way to the UEFA Youth League last season. He played a match in the Youth League with the U19s before being needed to come back. It's not just any player that can mentally handle that. So I give a lot of credit to Nuno Tavares for being able to handle the up and down of his career so far at the senior level. And you know what I like about him, and nobody's giving him credit for? He makes a mistake. He sprints back to try to recover. The next time he gets the ball, he's not afraid to make that mistake again. Okay? So I want to give him credit where credit is due. And I think that this is a guy, a project that can turn into a really strong player in the future. And I think with this coach, there's a good possibility. So those are the two substitutions for Jorge Jesus. 4 minutes later, he makes another double substitution in the 75th. Julian Weigl comes on, replaces Gabriel, and Diogo Gonçalves replaces Gianluca Waldschmidt to face his former team, Diogo Gonçalves, that is. And different role for Diogo Gonçalves this season, but he's going to have to fight and claw his way and to earn some minutes. And I think Benfica are at their best. There's a difference between players being buried on the bench, like what has happened to Jota in the past 2 seasons, to a team that is strong enough where young players have to fight for their position, their place in the team. It's much different than just not being used because you're small or just not being used because you're young. Okay. I think if Diogo Gonçalves, Chiquinho, these guys are there they will provide depth and they will provide the pressure for the first choice guys to keep their level high because they want to stay on the pitch. That's my belief. That's my hope, at least, as we move forward. Okay, that was 75th minute, and we get an attempt here in the 84th as Famalicao get a chance. It is Walterson, right-footed shot from outside the box. He misses from the right. He had been set up by Mateus Clement. Ruben Lameda hits the post with a left-footed shot in the 90th on a setup from Patrick Willian. And that will take us to full time. And Benfica pick up 3 points and win 5-1 here in match day 1 in round 1 of Liga 2020. And overall, I think a good performance, a big improvement, and I'm hoping to see this continue. I want this to be like that first season of Jesus, where it's 5, 5, 4, 6, just goals after goals after goals being scored week after week, putting immense pressure on our rivals to keep pace. And just, I hope that this is only the first game, so we cannot get ahead of ourselves. Okay, we'll see what comes this coming weekend when we host Moreirense. But let's hear from the manager. Actually, let's go to the goal point first, and let's review the goal point ratings and the statistics first, as I have the screen right here. As we see here on goal point, we'll start with Famalicão's ratings. The goalkeeper, of course, is Zlobin with a 5.4. Jorge Pereira, 4.8. Richelli, 5.8. Babic, 4.6. Verdonk, 5.3. Lameiras, 5.9. Guga with a 4.9. These are very low ratings for Famalicão. Ended up with an average 5 rating. Gustavo Assunção, 5.4. Bruno Jordão, 4.7. And Carlos Valenzuela, 4.4. Tony Martinez, doesn't even merit to discuss an unthinkable 3.3. Substitutes off the bench: Ibrahim, 4.3. Patrick William, 5.2. Del Campo, 4.8. Mateus Clement, 5.3. And Walterson, 4.9. Lameiras with a very low 5.9 was their man of the match. And you can see in the top corner of the screen here, you can see that their expected goal was 6. Let me open the screen up here for those of you, of course, watching on YouTube. Those of you listening to the podcast, the expected goal rate for Famalicão was a 0.6 expected goals. So they got their goal. That's a mark. Again, Benfica should have kept a clean sheet in this one. I will say that. And I am never completely happy when we don't keep a clean sheet and the other team's expected goals is under 1. Let's look at Benfica. Overall, a 6.3 rating for an average, a whole 1.38, better than Famalicão. Odi in goal has a 5.5. André Almeida with a 6.5. Ruben Dias, 5.5. Vertonghen, 5.6. Grimaldo with a very good 7.1 rating. Gabriel, 5.9. Taarabt, 7.5. A good rating for Adel Taarabt. Good response to maybe a lesser performance in Greece on Tuesday. Rafa, 6.9 and a goal. Luca Waldschmidt with a 7.1. Darwin Nunez, 5.6. And down here you see the man of the match right there. And there you see him. It is Everton Cebolinha, 8.3. He is the man of the match for the second match in a row for Benfica, at least according to goal point. The substitutes: Pizzi with a 4.8. Carlos Vinicius, 5.1. Nuno Tavares, 6.6. Julian Weigl, 5.3. Diogo Gonçalves, 5.0. Let's look at some of the statistics now in this match as we reach in here. As you see, if you're watching on YouTube, on the left, there's the man of the match, Everton. And you see his heat map right here. He spent a lot of the match on the flank and then cutting in. He's got a goal and an assist, a very good Very good outing for Everton. Cebolinha, 1 goal, 1 assist, as it says there. Passes for a shot 3. He set up 3 different shots. He had 2 crosses. 1 was effective, or 1 connected. 14 attempted dribbles, 6 connected. He suffered 4 fouls. He was fouled 4 times, and an amazing 10 recoveries of possession for Everton. Look at the stat line here. Shots, it was 14-6 in favor of Benfica. Shots on goal, 7-2 in favor of Benfica. This is a new stat that Goal Point added this season. Ações na área adversária, actions in the opponent's area. 35 actions in the opponent's area. What exactly qualifies as an action? I'm not 100% sure just yet, but look at that disparity, 35-4. That just tells you how much time Benfica spent. I talk about territory, right? I say that possession is nothing without territory. It has no context, but that right there adds some territorial context when you're in the opponent's area for that many movements, that many actions. That is a very dominating stat line for Benfica. 4 corners to 3. Benfica were the more efficient. Pass efficiency, Benfica 86% pass efficiency rate, 267 for Famalicao, while the vertical pass rate for Benfica, very good, 72% in vertical passes. Famalicao only 49% effective vertically, and it looks like this one is defensive actions in the other teams. I'm not exactly sure what the abbreviation means, but Benfica dominates that stat line. I think that defensive actions in the other teams, half of meio campo, no meio campo adversário, MC is meio campo. So in the other teams, midfielder, in the other team's middle third, Benfica with 27 defensive actions. Benfica just all over the ball here, and Benfica commits 10 fouls to Famalicao's 14, and there's possession 63% to 37%. And I think there's another stat line here. There, as you can see here, you can watch the highlights on Goal Point as well if you need to see it. As you see the 2 lineups, and this is what I wanted to show you. If you are watching on YouTube, again, if you're on the podcast, I'll have to explain this. This was in the 25th minute. Goal Point put this out, and this was very impressive. This is Gabriel. Okay, I talked about him. He had connected on many long passes already in the 25th minute. All these in blue here are connected passes for Gabriel, and you see how many are forward and long. Only 3 missed passes in 25 minutes from that position. All of the ones missed were long ones, and it says here, Goal Point is just a great resource when watching these matches or after these matches to try to evaluate. So that is the match in a nutshell. Let's listen to what Jorge Jesus had to say about this on the podcast. Of course, on YouTube we can't do that, but when we get back in a few seconds on YouTube, I will read you my translation of what Jorge Jesus said. It may not be an exact translation, but paraphrasing it covers the gist of it. So we will be right back with that. If you're listening on the podcast, here is Jorge Jesus speaking in the post-match press conference. All right. So the question from the reporter, and he asked it on behalf of a colleague, and he said there were several changes to the side that faced PAOK. That they say PAOK. It's PAOK midweek. To the side that faced PAOK. Tell us specifically about Darwin and Waldschmidt and your decision to include them in today's match. Jorge Jesus replies, they're 2 players with individual characteristics different than from the players that played on Tuesday, and even different than Pedrinho in the same respect, to be honest. They are players that possess a speed or a pace, not just in execution, but in the ability to push the tempo of the match and to exploit open space with ease. Today in modern football, the strikers that don't know how to push the tempo and use their individuality to exploit open spaces in behind, well, for them, the game has turned quite difficult for these types of strikers. Today, there are very few of those true target strikers, and I also no longer really see a place for them or see a place in the game to play that way. And these two, he would continue to say, these two players, Luca and Darwin, are players that have great qualities, and they have the exact qualities that we are looking for, despite both of them being far from what they can potentially be. They're not finished products yet, and the mister is acknowledging that. And Darwin has only been here a week, and he doesn't yet know the movements of his teammates. He doesn't yet know his teammates at all, and it's hard to play in those circumstances. So he will continue to grow. And then he goes on to fire a little shot here at Joachim Löw and at the German national team setup. As he says, Luca basically is returning from a holiday with his national team. Not even 5 minutes did he play for Germany. And in the meantime, he missed 2 weeks of very crucial and important work with us here. And what is our ideas of the match? What is our philosophies? And so little by little, he will go introducing himself as well into the role, and he will grow and integrate himself more and more into the dynamic of what our team will be. This was a comfortable 5-1 victory, but we are still very far from where I want us to be the Benfica, as they say. That is George Zuzuj's comments. Now, let's take a look here and see what's coming up this week. All right, so we're going to look forward here to round 2, and then we're going to check the table, even though it's only been one round. And we will show here the table as I pull it up. After 1 week, of course, 5 teams with a victory. So Benfica, Futebol Clube do Porto, Moreirense, Santa Clara, and Belenenses SAD, Code City, all with victories. So they share first place. Benfica ahead on goal difference right now with a 4-goal difference, 2 better than the other 3 teams. Or 3 of the other 4 teams, with Belenenses SAD in 5th with just a 1-goal difference. Also, you have Boa Vista, Nacional, Rio Ave, Tondela with 1 point, and the rest of the field, the bottom 8, it is Gil Vicente, Passos de Ferreira, Portimonense, Sporting, Vitória Guimarães, Braga, Farense, Marítimo, and Famalicao, all with 0 points. Some of those teams have yet to play. Gil Vicente, Passos Ferreira, Portimonense, and Sporting have not played yet, so they obviously can't have any points as of yet. So that is where the standings sit after 1 round. Let's take a look at next week's matches in the Primeira Liga. And let's see here as it pulls up for me. And you guys at home can see the speed of my blistering fast internet. And actually, this afternoon, we have Portimonense versus Passos Ferreira, 2:45 Eastern time here in the United States. That would make it 7:45 or 19:45 in Portugal. All right, and then later this week, we get to Friday. I believe it's Friday, the first match of round 2. It will be on the 25th of September, which is, in fact, Friday. Braga hosts Santa Clara. And then Saturday, Marítimo hosts Tondela. Benfica hosting Moreirense at home on a Saturday afternoon. It looks like a 1:30 Eastern time start here in the United States. That would make it a 6:30 start in Lisbon. And after that, it is the Derby Tripeiro later on in that day at the Bessa. Boa Vista now including Ezequiel Garay, if I'm not mistaken, and Javi Garcia will take on, and of course for our American fans, U.S. international Reggie Cannon, now part of Boa Vista. They'll take on Futebol Clube do Porto in the Derby Tripeiro on Saturday, and then Sunday, Farense Nacional, Gil Vicente Portimonense, Passos Ferreira, and Sporting. Those last two games are probably tentatively scheduled. If you don't know, both of those teams had cases of positive tests for COVID-19, and their match this past weekend was postponed due to that. You also have Rio Ave hosting Vitória Guimarães in another early season showdown of teams fighting fourth, fifth, and sixth place in those Europa League and Europa Conference spots. That's right. There's a new competition next season. So next season, Portugal will send 3 teams to the Champions League, or 2 to the Champions League group stage, 1 to the preliminary stage. Okay, they will send the cup champion, the cup winner, to the Europa League, and then 3 teams to the Europa Conference, the new third level competition. So that's the way the European places are going to break down this season. And then, of course, next Monday, we have Belenenses SAD hosting Famalicao at the City of Football. Okay, that is going to do it for episode number 86 here on Mr. Benfica. It's the start of season 3, and I just clocked into working teleworking, if you will, working from home still, and literally with 2 minutes to spare, I finished the podcast and I clicked and clocked myself in for work. I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode. I hope you guys like the new format. Hope you like the YouTube supplement that comes along with it. You can either see me give you the spiel, or you can listen to a slightly different product on the podcast. And hope everyone again enjoyed it. I hope everyone has a good week. We got Benfica coming up this weekend against Moreirense. That match will be on BTV, of course, and Gold TV as well if you're in the United States. So if you're not, check your local listings as always. And Carrega Benfica, Força Benfica. Let's see what happens next week. But I am excited. I liked what I saw. This was a step in the right direction, and I want to see the next step continue to go in that very positive direction. Hashtag We Are Benfica. Por todos I'll see you next week here on Mr. Benfica. I am the Mr. Mike Agustinu signing out.